Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to Hot Shakes and Hand Dogs. This is the place we talk about independent wrestling here on the youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes show YouTube channel. It's kind of redundant what I just did here. This is why I have a co-host on Wednesdays. We got Sean Taggart is with us again. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing good on this fine Tuesday. It's not Wednesday, Warren.
It's Tuesday. That's right. Well, you see, it's the Easter holiday but we were talking about it. It sort of threw us off this weekend on a bunch of reasons, right?
Easter is that holiday that, you think you always know what day it's going to be, and then it surprises you. It sneaks up on you last second.
Blah, and then you're like, wait, yeah. I wanted to watch this show, and I wanted to watch that show, and then you end up is like, oh, well.
Maybe
Easter
later.
Yeah, Easter holiday's done. That's why I said fine Wednesday. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to go back to the replay and see what you said.
Oh, well, it's fine. Is that like, should fine Wednesday be a part like of the Easter holiday? Because, you have Good Friday. You
could also What's Thursday? Thankful Thursday is Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Easter
Thursday.
Easter Thursday.
Easter Thursday and fine Wednesday. Fine Wednesday.
Yeah. Totally Tuesday.
Totally Tuesday, fine Wednesday, Thirsty Thursday, and Good Friday. Leading us into Saturday where no one gives a shit, and then
Easter Sunday.
Easter Sunday.
And then it's just another Manic Monday.
And there you go.
There we go.
Well, come to us for all your holiday needs. Everyone.
We have some good names.
Yes, we do. And it makes sense. When you juxtapose it all, it makes complete sense. That's the cool part of it.
I think I'm going to consider Saturdays No One Gives a Shit Saturdays.
There you go. It's like now no one calls it a fall away slam anymore, since they heard the Scott Hall story where he'd call the move the sack of shit because it'd be like dumping a sack of shit. Like I think I've heard every indie commentary team that I've heard call the move the fall away slam since that story came out of Scott Hall's death, right?
Yeah.
I think every commentary team has called it the sack of shit. No one calls it a fall away slam anymore.
I can't wait for TV to pick up on that and start calling it that too, because all of a sudden they can say shit on TV. So
yeah, exactly. They get really excited about that, don't they?
Yeah. Unless if you're Chuck Taylor.
Which he clearly that was some long-term storytelling that they completely missed out on.
I know. Imagine, him saying shit finally when maybe they're still waiting for a big, maybe he says shit in front of Okada.
Look, maybe Okada's going to say shit.
Piss off, Chuck.
Exactly. He's the leader after all. He should get dibs. He should get to say shit first. Before sexy Chucky T, for God's sakes. He should. Anyway, we talk about actual wrestling and stuff like that. Hi, hello, Chris Jacobs in the chat. Nice to see you. So, Sean and I, because of the Easter holiday and whatnot, Sean and I we split up the task of watching wrestling this week. We didn't all watch the same shows. We did come together on one show. But we'll start. I'll kick it off because we usually go on in chronological order, starting with Friday evening. I watched the West Coast Pro Game related show. You know what, Sean? WCPW, man. It's becoming appointment viewing. It really, really is.
Yeah, I honestly, with them, they put out really strong cards. I mean, this is coming off like their big weekend with Prestige, I think, last month. So they had some pretty strong shows, and it's kind of been flying under the radar for almost throughout their longevity as a promotion, which I think is at least 4 or 5 years now.
Exactly.
IWTV picking them up was a pleasant surprise, and honestly, I haven't, it's except for this one, I haven't gotten around to it yet. I really make it a point to watch these shows within a week that they show up after the live stream.
And you will not be disappointed going back and watching this one here. I want to say hello to Kristen Ashley, who's joined us in the chat as well. Nice to see you. The show started off with AJ Gray defeating Levi Shapiro in what you can expect to be a very, very physical, brutal match. It's just two big guys slapping each other around, but I mean, also two very surprisingly athletic and mobile gentlemen as well, right? He, like, Shapiro at some point catches AJ Gray out of the sky, who's doing a flying body press, and he spins him around into a body slam, which was really awesome. Shapiro also does a top rope Superman punch to the floor, and very, very physical, brawling style, the kind of stuff that you'd expect here. And you know what? This is the cool thing, this is also a good thing, because look, you've got your AJ Grays on this card, right? You've got Gringo Loco, you've got Masha Slamovich, you've got, you've got the AAA indie players going around, right? That are just about everywhere. But a guy like Levi Shapiro, more regional, and it doesn't exactly run the gamut, from West Coast to the East. But man, when you see him, right, he's just fantastic stuff.
And I think he's been out for a little bit, because this is the first time I've seen him pop up, not in a commentary role, but actually on the card. So I guess he's returned from injury or something.
Which is a good sign. I didn't even know he was injured. So good for him. Then we had the high flying stuff of the evening, where the conglomerate defeated the trio of Arez, ASF, and Gringo Loco. Hey, you know what? If this lucha style, high flying, it's your spot evening of the evening. Like, Alpha Zoe at some point hits a huge gut wrench power bomb, which absolutely ruled. There's a Cazadora assisted DDT by the Luchas as well, which completely blew my mind as well. The conglomerate hit the package pile driver and some super kicks. Just a high flying fun stuff. Just it's the spots. It gets the crowd into it. Good stuff. Good stuff here. Then we get to Vinnie Massaro, who defeated Akira. And, again, this is the kind of match where you kind of expect what's going to happen, right? Because
Sure.
Not necessarily all about the finesse when you watch these two guys go. But I'll tell you, I think this one was a little more low energy than I expected, But I like Vinnie. I like Akira too. These are two great guys, don't get me wrong, but yeah. I don't know, like it just didn't really gel, I found at some points.
Yeah, I always say in the Discord, I always mention that Vinny's super underrated. So, and I mean, it's good to see him branch out a little bit more on some more West Coast indies. I mean, he was a good mainstay in Lucha Underground. He's a guy I think that deserves a little bit more than just the Lucha Underground praise that he's gotten, because he's very good at what he does. And it's good to see Akira make his way out to the West.
Yes.
It's good to have, that connection with Masha. But I mean, his track record is, writes for itself.
Sure.
So I mean, it's good seeing him out there.
Of course, there's some good stuff here. Massaro hits a running power bomb, a flatliner, and a German suplex by Akira as well. And Massaro ends the match with a Danielle Cormier driver, which you don't see very often. Kind of popped out of my seat on that one. It's like I don't know how you'd call it exactly, like a Falcon Arrow pile driver kind of thing. It's a good one. Hadn't seen that for a while, so there you go. Um, but yeah, maybe the match I was into the least of the evening. Then we moved on to Reno Scum, who defeated the West Coast Wrecking Crew. This had been a storyline that they've been running for a couple of shows, crossed over into the Prestige shows as well. Look, I think we talked about this on our very first show, Sean. I really like the West Coast Wrecking Crew, right? Like Royce Isaacs, he's extremely polished. This is a guy, he's been trying to break onto TV for a long time, and I don't know exactly what's keeping him from being like, this sounds weird, right? But it's like Royce Isaacs is an extremely competent, talented professional wrestler. I don't think he's the guy you build your promotion around, kind of thing. But you know how sometimes you need plumbers,
Yeah. Yeah,
I think that role for him is perfect. Like a solid mid-carder who will get wins, but who's ultimately will be used to put over the top guys, right? And he'll make them look like $1 million.
He's good to move up and down the card. And like you said, he's a utility player.
Yeah.
If you're looking at it from a baseball sense, he can be positioned pretty much anywhere. I think, him getting that shot with his tag team partner and Jarrell Nelson in NJPW Strong, them aligning themselves with Tom Lawler, they get to really showcase their strength a little bit more. And I think it's helped with their personality. I do remember Royce in NWA, part of Strictly Business when they first started. This is a night and day difference in terms of his personality. I think it shines out a little bit more here.
I think he's fantastic. Like that, yeah. Utility player is the best way to put it. And we don't, I don't mean this in any disparaging sense. You need guys like that on your roster. You need people who will be there to put other guys over. Back in the day, we'd call them jobbers to the stars.
We would. And that wasn't really the most endearing thing, but it really was what they were for. But, you made it up for them for having them go on like a little winning streak, or you had them book strong against their other mid-carders as well. I mean,
exactly.
He's the kind of guy that you can have like a first up mentality where you need to do a spot match and have him perform in a level that you expect from a main eventer.
And this was a good match, good showing by both teams. Reno Scum are still very, very good at what they do as well. And they get the win here with the top rope Scum Stomp, which I still don't understand how you protect the guy doing the move. Because there's one guy, holding his arms behind his back, sort of in a lifted position from the ground. And then the other dude jumps off the top rope in a coup de grace kind of thing. I don't understand.
And there's really no way to protect that.
I don't know how you do that safely, but fun move though.
Way.
By the way,
I said they find a way.
Oh, they find a way. I said, oh, by the way, I thought you were going to give me like some kind of deep insight into this. I'm disappointed. But then that's all on me though. Oh, I think Sean froze.
I did. 1 second.
There we go. The important thing is that we have your voice, though.
Yeah, which is always key for this. Hopefully, I'm a little bit better.
Well, I still can't see you.
All right. Well, I mean, it's a thought that counts. But I will say, when it comes to these guys, it's a very interesting team. I like them a lot. And I both teams I like. I mean, it's good to see. I think Reno Scum's going on like their farewell tour a little bit, because I think one of them, Adam Thornstone, is going to stick with his shoot job. I know he was a first responder.
Well, they kind of mentioned that. They said, but commentary said, oh, they won the match, so they're not done yet, kind of thing. That's exactly what they said. So, look.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what comes up from him after this, but yeah, I'm excited to watch this one.
Titus Bailey, yeah, sure. Titus Alexander defeated Mike Bailey, our speedball. And this one was wild to me. That Titus Alexander won. Look, we talked about him, I think, last week. Titus Alexander, right? And we put him over big time, saying that this guy has all the tools. He's a fantastic heel. And here he is getting a big win over arguably, the most in-demand star on the independent circuit right now. Just a fantastic win for him.
And it looks like a very big win for him, too, as he looks to, continue that momentum. I feel with Titus, like, they have something very special with him. And they know it. Especially, the West Coast knows they have something special with him. I think he would do well, going in the Midwest, Northeast, Southeast, spreading his wings out a little bit there. But I mean, he's done well in the West Coast, performing in everywhere that he has shown. I think, it's coming close to that time where the East and like the other areas of the United States want to see what he can bring to the table and see how he can mesh in with those stars over there. And I think he'll mesh in fine.
Oh, I think I don't think there'll be an issue. And I think this is the time to really get acquainted with Titus Alexander, because he's on the cusp of something. And just seeing what he does, like during this match here, he blocks the speedball kicks, right? He sees them coming, those those jumping rapid fire kicks that Bailey does. He blocks those, so he puts up his guard and he eats them. He avoids the enziguri that usually follows, right? So he ducks enziguri. Bailey falls on his back. Boom, double stomp right to the back, right into a German suplex. Like a really smooth, fantastic sequence by him. And then Bailey hits the acai moonsault on the floor. Alexander hits a chaos theory. Tries to cheat to win, but can't. He kicks out, Alexander does, out of the Ultimo weapon. He wriggles out of the flamingo driver, hits a brain buster, a knee, and the sweet time driver to put Mike Bailey away. You could almost hear Veda Scott on commentary sob very softly.
He follows him everywhere, that Veda.
Yeah, she's everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
That's stalker behavior, man.
But at the same time, good for her.
Sure. Like, if you're gonna follow someone, might as well be, that
the
guy.
Top, yeah, that guy, probably the biggest star in the independents right now,
right?
Just based on him just not stopping.
Like if you're gonna follow a tour bus around, might as well be the Grateful Dead, right?
Right. Yeah, you might as well follow the top.
There you go. Very good match. Very, very good match. And Titus Alexander, man, anyway, something special. We got Yuji Nagata defeating Davey Richards. I was surprised that Richards didn't finesse his way. No, it's not the same Davey anymore, I don't think.
It really isn't.
It's not the same Davey anymore. We can't do those jokes anymore. They're just out of bad faith at this point.
Yeah, just like you can't do your Jordan Oliver jokes anymore.
Ah, son of a bitch! That little... Now I have to find another bit.
I think I was about to ask you, like you do for Goldberg on your main show, to say a nice thing for a year about Jordan Oliver, but he's done it for you.
He's done it for me. We can talk about that just after the when we're done with West Coast.
Yeah.
Because it is so interesting to point out. And if you want to pull up the tweet in the meantime, just to make sure we get the full context.
Sure.
It might be a good idea. But Richards here, look, I mean, the great thing about Yuji Nagata, it's interesting because Nagata is treated kind of like one of the New Japan dads, right? Like, the Hanmas and the Maccabees. But you get him in the ring, you put him with someone who's ready to give to him, and I'm like, why is he not put up there with the on the same kind of level as Suzuki is? Because Suzuki is not treated like a dad, but he kind of is, and it's weird to me, especially when you see matches like this where he's just he and Davey got a nice solid hard hitting match here. Got an ankle lock, PKs, double stomps, an exploder suplex by Nagata, and he put Davey away with the backdrop hold for the win. So good for him. Fun little transition match into Kevin Blackwood versus Minoru Suzuki, which was fine. Like it's always look. We even talked about it last week. I don't remember when we talk about stuff, but we did talk about the Minoru Suzuki formula, right? And this match was the Minoru Suzuki North American Indies formula, where he's doing he does all the same kind of spots, same types of setups, but Suzuki in North America, he's always he's super loose. He's he connects with the crowd a lot more. He laughs, he enjoys himself. Like, you can tell he's having a great time. But when you watch all the wrestling, you see him all over the place. You're like, okay, I've seen this match before. And this is nothing against Kevin Blackwood. Blackwood held his own and was very, very good. But it's you saw one of these, you saw them all, and as far as Suzuki goes, and nothing wrong with it. Just absolutely fine. And he wins with the Gotch style pile driver, puts him away. Do you got any thoughts on Minoru Suzuki?
Nothing that's already been said. I know there's been a tweet that went around, and I don't know now if you want to talk about it a little bit later, about him Lowkey having probably one of the better years of his career.
Well, let's talk about it then.
Well, yeah,
I know what you're talking about. No, go ahead.
I don't think so. I mean, seeing him run the same style match, and really he'll show up for his New Japan matches in a sense. I don't think he really gave it 100% up against Biff. And I wonder if that's because he felt Biff was still too hurt from the Mox match, because the first punch that Suzuki gave him, his head exploded again, busted open. But looking at what he's done, it's been the same 10, 12-minute match throughout all of them, except for the Bailey match. And I think Bailey surprised him. I honestly feel going into that match, it was going to be, the 10, 12-minute sprint that Suzuki does, wrap it up, call it a day, Gotch style, call him a piece of shit, kick him out of the ring, and, celebrate. But I think Bailey did something to open him up, and I think gave him the chance to showcase himself more, because I think Suzuki was kind of impressed.
Yeah, I think so too. I think because Suzuki did give a lot of himself in the Bailey match, and Speedball, being just who he is, saw the opportunity, jumped right into it, and knew exactly what to do, kind of thing, So it really, really meshed well together.
It shows a lot in regards to him still, Bailey being more of the veteran compared to some of these other guys that Suzuki has faced while here in America on the Indies, who he's a little bit more polished. He's wrestled in Japan, so he has the understanding of how to work that type of wrestler, and also get that emotion out. And I think, Suzuki's going into, I believe this weekend, he's going to Cleveland for AIW, and he's facing Isaiah Bronner, who, very strong Midwest guy, beefy, but I don't think is going to get a match out of Suzuki that a Mike Bailey did. I don't think you're going to see him get that style match. I think that was a one and done thing until the next time he came around, because if I remember correctly, Janela got a match out of Suzuki that no one got out of him when he was in Atlantic City for GCW during his initial US tour back in the fall.
And honestly, here's it. Okay. Well, first of all, to circle back to the tweet, first and foremost, like I'm with you. Like, I don't think he's having a low key great year. I think that was what was used in the term.
Mm-hmm.
I shared it with you, and I was like, this seems off to me. Because I don't think he's having, like, I think what he's doing is fine. I think it's very entertaining, and I think, good for him for doing this, because he's probably like, Gato doesn't want me anywhere anyway. I'll be doing like, 6-man. I'll be doing trios matches with Suzuki-gun. Meanwhile, I could be on the US doing a bunch of dates and being treated like a king everywhere I go, kind of thing. So, like, on that level, I will say yes, he's probably having a great year. Performance-wise, it's fine. It's Minoru Suzuki in his 50s, wrestling an ungodly amount of dates. Good for him, but these are not career highlights that he's living through. Like, I think as fans, it's exciting, but,
he's getting out there to new audiences, which is always exciting for anyone to, get out there, because prior to this, he was one of the New Japan guys that would rarely make visits over to the US. And I think now you look at him now, he is one of the first guys to raise his hand and go over. Especially with the expansion that's happened with New Japan. He's jumping at the gun to, see it out and wrestle different people. He has Deppen in Philadelphia, which that is just going to be very interesting to see.
I'm excited for that. I've maintained this ever, like, when his tours started, he should be the IWGP US champion. He really should be, because I think he feels good to be in the US, to travel in the US. I think he likes it here because he has an ego, and it's fine. Yeah. Because he is treated like a legend. People lose to him right and left. It's like no one negotiates.
Like, royalty when he comes over here. No one's gonna touch him. No one can touch him. And he's a perfect,
strokes his ego. It's perfect for IWGP US champ. Perfect.
I think it would be the right decision. I expected a little bit more with him, to sidetrack real quick with Ring of Honor and AEW. Him maybe a little bit longer with the TV title, but at the same time, how are you going to make Joe lose his second match on TV coming back? So
don't book the match.
Oh, that's how. I forget.
That's how you do it.
I'm new to all this, so I don't understand. But I really feel as if, though, we're seeing him also save his energy too, because he's not used to working, consistently, like multiple matches in a day. He probably hasn't done since he was much younger, or at all. So he had that Mania week where he was wrestling like 2-3 times. You have him wrestling almost every weekend in singles matches. Granted, they're 10 to 12 minutes, but if you really think about it, he's getting hit as hard as some of the guys that he's hitting, if not more so. So I understand him saving his energy for those matches that he feels are a little bit special, but to say he's having this low-key great year, and it depends on how you look at it, but looking at his series of matches, and if you take his US matches out, I even don't know if that's even a good enough year for him.
Brother, regardless. He was locked in a kennel in a match with Yano for the KOPW thing a couple of months ago.
I think that was his finest achievement as a competitor, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Sucked is what I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
no, but I get it, and people are like, oh, and he wrestled, Danielson, and the Danielson match was special, and it was very good, and he recognized Danielson for who he was, so they played it off as, top guys, right?
Yeah, also, if you think about it, that was during his first run in the States, so like, I would even look at it, his first run was better than this current run.
Look,
because at least.
But here's the thing. I guess this is the nuance that we should bring here, because I think it's important to underscore. And I said it, just a minute ago. If you watch all the wrestling, like you and I do, you're gonna see the patterns. You're gonna say, "Oh well, okay, this is a Suzuki US Indie match, right?" Because you. But if you tune in, you tune into West Coast Pro on Friday, you're like, geez, this is great. Look at that. Like, you're gonna enjoy it. But the more you see it, the more you see the patterns, you see the things, and then you go, oh, all right, well. I mean, it's fine. He's having a good year, but I wouldn't call it like a low-key great year. It's not great. It's nothing nothing really celebratory, but he's doing good for himself.
Yeah, it's definitely nothing to write home about, and consider compare it to some of his other years where he was on top.
All right, let's finish this West Coast Pro card. Masha Slamovich defeated Debbie Malenko. Remember last week when I told you I was a little apprehensive to seeing Debbie Malenko wrestle because of what I saw at the NWA Empower show, which was very, very brief, but definitely not compelling. Complete opposite. I was surprised. I wouldn't say that, look, she wrestled like someone her age who hasn't wrestled in like about 2 decades consistently, Mm-hmm. You have to expect that, but man, she held her own, and you can still taste the AJW, in everything she did. And Masha, of course, coming from that school, having learned from and watched tape from the day, she just fed into that fantastically. I think Masha was very, very good. Like, it was good enough for me to be there, and it's like, I can't tell you if Masha is carrying Debbie Malenko or not, I can't tell you. I don't know. It was short. They didn't drag this out for like 20 minutes. And Debbie Malenko came off as a legend, as a star. And, all business. She comes in, she's got the, her Malenko outfit on, and she just walks to the ring, gets up, she does one of these, like they, all sports, no entertainment, all sports. Masha comes in with the half mask now, and she's screaming at the top of her lungs, and she's going around the ring. Debbie's just like, she beelines for the steps, climbs into the ring. All right, let's do this. And she gets out, she does one of this at the end, and she leaves. That's great. I enjoyed it. No, but seriously, I enjoyed it, and it's a nice feather in the cap of Masha, who did the full-on Japanese not greeting, but showing of respect, where she got on her knees on all fours, bowed to Malenko. So that was pretty dope. It was a nice moment. And the main event, this main event, Jacob Fatu successfully defended the West Coast Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Championship against Bandito. Jesus Christ, man. This was really good. Like, you haven't watched the show, but I think you need to go back and watch this match. I highly recommend watching this match. Look, I haven't watched much MLW, so I can't tell you. Like, I'm slowly starting to be exposed to Jacob Fatu, right? Outside of gifts and things. Has this guy always been this great?
He's always been that fluid in the ring, and honestly, for his size, there's no business for him to be just as fluid and as athletic as he is.
He's insane.
But he's also very powerful.
Yeah. Like, when these guys are striking it, when Fatu is striking Bandito, you're like, poor Bandito, right? And Bandito's like, he's pulling like corkscrew dives and stuff like that, but next thing you know, Fatu's like, yeah, here's a moonsault, kind of thing. And he's like, Jesus. And Bandito in this match too, deceptively strong, where he's doing like pop-up cutters, and Falcon Arrow presses and all sorts of wild shit, where you're like, even a guy like Bandito, you're like, you should not be able to lift a guy like Jacob Fatu. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Look, he does this wild Falcon Arrow press, Poison Rana on top of that on Fatu, goes for a swanton. Fatu gets the knees up. Then Bandito does a springboard hurricane Rana, which is wild. Fatu, though, counters out of the 21 plex, does a superplex, the SST, killing Moon. Fatu, man, there's a guy you build a promotion around.
Yeah, and I mean, Fatu, he was MLW champ for such a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's kind of faded into the sunset, so to speak, as his time as top being the top was over with. So he's now more down the card a little bit. But it's great to see him on the indies again and really showcasing just how crazy he can be. He plays up to that Samoan werewolf persona that he was kind of doing in MLW as champ, the crazy monster that he had. But man, he's just incredible to watch. It's
Just
just
fantastic
seeing
stuff.
all those Fatus in the ring at once is just it's unfair.
It'd be great. Like, it'd be great at some point, right? If they just had one match where they all slugged it out. All of them.
The ring would explode.
I think so. Well, that was West Coast Pro game related. I recommend watching the card if you can't. Definitely get your eyes on Jacob Fatu versus Bandito and Titus Alexander versus Mike Bailey, because now is the time to get on the Titus Alexander bandwagon. Yeehaw!
Whoa, diggity. So I did pull up the tweet that Jordan Oliver sent last. Let's see, the 12th.
What was this in response to?
So this is in response to Adam Scher, Braun Strowman, and Marcus Buff Bagwell going back and forth. Apparently, Bagwell brought up a time that Braun was arrested for operating a boat while intoxicated. And Scher responded with a couple tweets. One of them be like, "And I'll man up and admit I came too hard. I went for the kill and shouldn't have. I understand you didn't know as part of control your narrative, but imagine you being one of the boys taking shot at a place, giving work to other wrestlers." Jordan Oliver found this tweet and responded with, "The fuck are you talking about? Remember when your clown ass was shitting on indie wrestling? Imagine you being one of the boys taking shot at a place, giving work to other wrestlers," and 3 clown emojis. And goddamn, he's not wrong.
He like, that's the most spot on response. That's the most spot on response. And that's the things, like, coming from Jordan Oliver, this is the point. This is the turning point in my relationship with Jordan Oliver, where I'm like, I can't clown the guy anymore. I can't sit here and my bid is done. I can't sit here. Compounded with that great match that he had with Mike Bailey, during WrestleMania weekend and stepping in to replace PCO. I'm like, okay, enough's enough with the Jordan Oliver bullshit. This guy, okay. He's got me. He's reeled me in. Yep. But what a perfect response. But honestly, what a correct response.
Really unexpected response. And speaking of the unexpected, we go into Saturday now, where we go to the famous Phil Sheridan building in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey, for Expect the Unexpected's Era of the Unexpected. That's a lot of unexpecteds.
I didn't expect so many unexpecteds.
Me either. We started off with Homicide and Tony Deppen. This was actually, I think Deppen was toying with Homicide, wanting to hold the title a little bit, and Homicide, had enough and decided to make it for the title.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I expect out of Homicide in 2022. Just a brawl, really trying to, maintain that he's bad at he's good at what he does. Is mainly a brawler. This wasn't anything too scientifically technical or sound. Deppen tried, but Homicide just doesn't want to do that kind of style anymore. Homicide retained here. It was all right. I mean, the crowd was into it. This crowd, I got to give it to them, throughout the entire show, was pretty much into this entire card up and down. I think a lot of it has to do with most of that card being a surprise. Like 4 matches were announced. The rest of the card was, a surprise. And I think that kind of, unexpectedness gets a crowd excited and wanting to see what would happen next. What would happen next is Violence is Forever. and MSP. God, I love these two teams, and it's about time these two teams face each other. The Violence is Forever is the best team on the independents hands down right now.
Yep.
On the Northeast scene, I would say MSP is. So this is really a good example of two top teams colliding with one another. Honestly, I don't think this is the end of these two fighting one another. Just some very good series and moves, and I don't think Violence is Forever expected MSP to come out as hard as they did. I don't know what you think, Warren.
Mm, I like I think MSP's fine. I don't think
Mhm.
they're on like I don't think they're on the same playing level as Karini and Ku. I really don't. And I mean, which is to say, when can you be on the same level as the best? Well, that's fine. It's okay if you're not. But I thought some spots were a little off in this match. I thought unusually off
Mhm.
for Violence is Forever. So I didn't know exactly how to chalk it up. I don't know about MSP, man. I don't know. I'm I'm still open. I'm definitely not trashing them. They're not
Sure.
they're still fairly new to everything, So again, it's not a question where I'm like hit the bricks, But I felt it was a bit too much of a mismatch. And when Ku and Karini are cooking, then it's like, well, you just sit back, friend, and let us do what we need to do to your body, kind of thing. But when they're doing exchanges and especially the comedy bits, or the bits that are meant to be a little goofier, if we don't want to
Mhm.
use the comedy word, then it didn't quite connect as much. I don't know what to tell you. Like I enjoyed it, but
It just never hit it. It
mm,
felt a little off at times. I do agree with you there, but like sometimes getting in your own head is your worst enemy. And I think MSP probably did get in their head with this big high profile match that they were getting against Violence is Forever. I think they'll learn from this. They're, mostly from the New England area, mostly out of Maine for Limitless. They are pretty much Maine's only significant tag team that,
but the point, like
no, I
that's
know.
it.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
And you make a very good point. It's like they're getting out there, they're getting the high profile matches. It's going to connect for them eventually,
Hmm.
right? And the only way you're going to get better is by being put in situations where you're going to wrestle, and especially you're going to wrestle top talent. So if you're in the ring wrestling arguably the best tag team on the independent circuit right now, well, who have like a zillion title belts, right? I've counted them.
Yeah, they have what, three or four right now? They have four.
Five.
They have five.
Well,
They
I
have
mean, if you count
Action.
the
They
singles
have
titles
Southern.
on top of that,
That's true. That's true. So they
the
have
belt
Action.
collectors.
The Action tag titles, Southern Underground Pro tag titles. Crew has the Action title. They both have the BLP tag titles, and they recently won the C4 tag titles the
First
last show.
American tag team to win the C4 tag titles.
That's a good little tidbit there. That's a
Mm-hmm.
trivia question
Mm-hmm.
there. Uh,
So there you
we
go.
then we then go into the eight-man gauntlet match that we find out as the match is going on for will be an entry into the Expect the Unexpected title tournament. We started with Northeast legend and Max Caster, who made an appearance here, saying that he wasn't really going to rap because he was in New Jersey unless the fans paid for him to rap. Fans put in money, receipts, change. We heard it from Caster as he was like a little bit stunned at this, but remembered where he was in. This first match, he was in New Jersey. Yeah, let's talk about that. But yeah, no, this was a very good start, very evenly matched. I think Azriel's been around the block quite a few times. Um, they bring up Pat Buck here as one of the main trainers for Caster, a legend in his own right in the Northeast scene for him and Brian Myers, the school Creative Pro. Caster wins this first fall here with a quick roll up, and Azriel's like, "How did that happen?" Confused. Um, he wants it. Caster wants a challenge. Out comes a Monster Vargas. Uh, I mean, quick and easy uh, to the point where, Caster picks up a second one. He's like, he wants the biggest and the baddest. And out comes AC Romero.
I mean, there you go. He's getting what he
He wants the
wants.
biggest. Yeah, he wants the biggest and the baddest, but no, not that big and not that bad. So Caster gets himself counted out. Out comes Yoya next, and Yoya doesn't want anything to do with this. But he just gets pushed out by Struggles, the promoter, and one of the voices of Expect the Unexpected. He pushes him out, says he has to go to the ring. Disappointed with this decision, he goes in the ring and gets destroyed by AC Romero, which honestly it was going to happen. He did hit a nice slice spread, which he got a near fall to Yo-Yo, which got the crowd going nuts for Yo-Yo, making his ETU debut, but he gets eliminated by AC rather quickly. Out comes Alec Price. We've gushed about this guy here too countless amount of times. He just gets better week in and week out every time you see him. Um, no
One of the
surprise
great,
here.
one of the great missing faces of WrestleMania week this year.
He was a big time missing face. I expected to see him more.
Yep.
As of the Mania shows, he is the Lone Star champion for New Texas Pro. He beat T-Ray on one of their Mania shows. That was also for the Limitless and Southern Underground Pro titles. So there's a winner take all match. He won that match. So that's very good to see him now probably getting booked more in Texas.
Good for him.
And he'll show up there. But yeah, he picks up the win against AC Romero. Out comes another Northeast legend, Grim Reefer. Reefer does his big joint spot, which Price, as the dastardly heel that he is, rips it out of Reefer's hands and stomps it out. We get then from there a nice back and forth, but finally it's Alec Price and Marcus Mathers as the final two. This is a little rematch from Wrestling Open and the one beyond last Beyond show at Fet. And honestly, like these two click very well with one
They
another.
really do.
Mathers is really getting himself out there and more well known as one of the top students from Tremont's H2O school, as we mentioned. He picks up the win here, and like I said, he is one of the first entrants in the ETU title tournament to be determined soon.
Really quickly on Marcus Mathers, right? He's barely 4 years in the business at this point. And he had a rocking 2021. And we're again, like we focus quite a bit on how, and with reason, right? I mean, I'm not trying to do boo boo boo. We focus a lot on Nick Wayne, right? And how much of a goddamn prodigy the kid is, right? 16 years old, blah, blah, blah. But Mathers, man, has all the signs of greatness as well. That's the thing. And, he doesn't benefit from all this, I don't know, easy, instantaneous type of hype that some of the other younger up and comers get. Like even Starboy Charlie. Excuse me, I'll power my way through that very complex name. Even Starboy Charlie has that built-in hype to him as well. And you're like, Chris Mathers is amazing. I saw him at C4 a couple of weeks ago, right? And the kid's amazing and knows how to go about it. Is great with the fans on top of that. Like he's all in on this stuff. So it's wild to me when you look at the others of his generation coming up, and he's not necessarily in the same breath yet. But holy shit, this kid's amazing.
Honestly, it's a shame because he should be in that same breath right now. It shouldn't be, taking as long as it has. He's, like you said, he's 4 years into it and is leaps and bounds Tremont's best star student that he's had throughout his entire time coaching and training at H2O. That's really amounted to more than just staying around at his school and doing, stuff for the promotion. He's getting his name out there. the other students that are, wants to watch like an Austin Luke and
Mm-hmm.
Dylan McKay, they haven't really gotten their shackles off, so to speak, in terms of being out there a little bit more. With Luke, he's gotten at least the experience on Wrestling Open a little bit more so than he has in the past, but he still hasn't really broke through yet. McKay should have broken through a little bit before Mathers did, but for whatever reason, it just hasn't happened yet for him. But I also think at the same time, being stuck in that grouping with those two, he was trying to reinvent himself, and I don't think he should have. But I think he's finally found his footing now, Dylan McKay. So I hope to see more of him in the future, breaking out and getting out more. Same with Austin Luke and
Mm-hmm.
Reed Walker as another one. Those four probably Tremont's prized possessions in terms of who he's trained. Um, but before we go to intermission for this show, we get a plunder match here between Shaza McKenzie and Danny Demonto. Demonto is known for his ICW No Holds Barred promotion, which is pretty much the parent promotion of Expect the Unexpected here. Just your straight up, straightforward plunder match here. Nothing really too crazy. I mean, Shaza, for her sake of it, really stood out in this match and did a lot of good things within this match, but she sold like a champ. Demonto was, showing his strength and power a little too much in this match where it was hard for Shaza to really get anything going, but when she did, she packed it with her punch herself. It's nice seeing Shaza in the States. It's nice seeing her back here and really making her money's worth and working almost
Doing a lot
every
of dates.
weekend
Yeah.
throughout the country, like, couch surfing, whatever she's doing. It's nice to see her here and getting these opportunities that, with the pandemic, the last 2 years were taken away from her. So she gets that opportunity to shine again here. She gets invited to ICW No Holds Barred when they go down under in October to step in the chains and wrestle in that environment. So it'll be interesting to see how she adapts to that because, some people can adapt to that style and some people just aren't meant for it. And that's nothing against them. It's just the limitation of the style.
Sure. I mean, she
We get
she can call Charlie Evans. She'll do
She
just
can. She
fine.
can call. She can call Charlie Evans. She had a really brutal one over the weekend against Joel Bateman. That's not out yet on IWTV, but sure will be soon. We come back from intermission and we get Akira and Masha Slamovich taking on who was expected to be the Kirks of Brandon and Casey Kirk, but Casey forgot her gear and didn't feel like wrestling in her street clothes. So Brandon was like, "Oh, I'll do it by myself." Casey was confused as to why he would say that. And out pulling double duty is Marcus Mathers. Uh,
Yeah. The
very
BSB,
good.
the BSB pulling together.
Yeah, BSB pulling together and as commentary said, making Mouse happy. So so really here, it was a fun tag match. I mean, honestly, it's Mathers and Brandon Kirk's one of these guys that deserves, to get spotlight shown on shine on him. He's a GCW original. He's been around the block with CZW, GCW, and even I No Holds Barred, and now a little bit with H2O. He's a trainer there, so he's getting his recognition finally as being a very good heel and a very good worker. Though he doesn't understand that he's a heel, everyone should love him and his wife. But that's a story for another time. It was a very good back and forth match. Um, Originally this was for couples you know sh- showcase of the couples between Masha and
Yeah.
Akira and the Kirks, but I think they're going to be saving that match for the Kirks are running their own show during the summer. Even though Casey is really asking for Chelsea and Matt Cardona to come, I think it's going to be Akira and Masha versus them again.
I'll tell
Finally.
you, I might prefer that combination
Yeah.
to the Cardona Chelsea clan.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I thought this was a really fun tag team match, right? And I think well, we already expended the Marcus Mathers discussion point because he was phenomenal in this match. Masha really look here we go again. Let's put the record on again. Masha brings the best out of who she wrestles. It's absurd, dude. You look at her go, and you're like, she's a 10-year vet. 5 years at the most.
At the most, yeah.
She's ridiculously good. I really had a good time watching this match. You know, the spot right where Brandon lifts Masha into a suplex, right, and he's got Akira knocked out flat on his back behind him. Mathers goes on the top rope, swantons between Masha's legs, because Kirk is holding her up like in a stalling suplex, and her legs are split. Mathers swantons over her onto Akira, excuse me, and then Kirk suplexes Masha onto Akira. I was like, this is great. That was a fantastic spot.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, all four of these performers gelled well together too, which is a nice thing. It brought the energy, continued the energy that was having in the show, that was going on in the show, just because it was a hot match coming out from the intermission. Obviously, Akira and Masha wins, and Masha takes the BSB flag and wipes her feet on it. So I expect a little bit more there. Obviously, we know Masha and Billy had their match at Expect the Unexpected 1. We'll see what leads to that afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then my favorite segment of the show, the AC Mac half hour, 10-minute, whatever you want to call it. He comes out and he, he's up north.
Yeah, regional heel AC Mac.
The regional heel AC Mac, even though on the Southern Underground Pro Show the next day, he was still getting booed. That's not good for you, Tennessee. That's rude. But yeah, the regional heel comes out with the title, shows it off and says, "Oh yeah, I'm in the North. That means no title match." And out comes Northeast Ring of Honor alumni, but Northeast independent legend, Scoot Andrews, who we last saw randomly in Tampa WrestleMania weekend at one of the IWTV shows, just celebrate with Lee Moriarty and then knock him out. I thought there was going to be something that led more to that, but no. We just saw Scoot come in, do that spot, leave, but he's here ready to fight. He wants a title shot, and begrudgingly to AC Mac, because he's a legend, because he's from the South, he'll give it to him. He'll do it. This was all right. I mean, I don't know what you're going to really get out of Scoot Andrews at this point of his career, but I mean, AC Mac did the best he could to make it a little bit of a serviceable match. Commentary was hyping up Scoot Andrews doing intense training with Jay Lethal at the Lethal Academy down in Florida. But I don't know, Warren. Did you bother watching this one?
Yeah, no, I did. Especially, yeah, because Scoot was one of these matches that wasn't announced, right? This wasn't, yeah, right. So, but I watched it after, so I knew he popped up. So I was like, oh, for sure, I'm gonna check this out. Look, the guy is in tremendous shape. He's 54, something like that. Like seriously, tremendous shape. Like, absolutely. Don't tell AJ Gray that I think 54-year-old Scoot looks better than he does. But he really looks in really good shape. But yeah, you see the limitations of age and not having wrestled for a while either. It kind of reminded me of the Debbie Malenko match, where it's like, you end up having someone who hasn't done it in a while. Not that they've completely lost a step, but they haven't been necessarily keeping up all that much. I'd be curious to see how far he's ready to push this. If he continues, keeping sharp at Lethal's training school, continues hitting the indies, get some. I think there's some blood to squeeze out of this stone for sure. Because he wasn't a complete dunce. He wasn't. I thought he did very, very, very well. Again, I agree with you. I think AC gave a lot, which is normal in this type of circumstance. But I don't know. Maybe my heart fluttered a little bit when I saw Scoot, and I was like, oh, this is dope, But I enjoyed it for what it was.
I mean, yeah, for what it was a decent match. It got the point across. It got the job over here. But I think everyone's match of the night was this one right here. Mia Yim and Janai Kai. It's nice seeing Mia back in a wrestling ring.
Isn't it though?
And
can
as
we
Mia.
can we just say it like straight off? And then we've got Dan Reed from Pro Wrestling Eve who's just joined us in the chat. Nice to see you, Dan. So you're landing at the perfect time. How is it, Shawn, that you're a promoter? You have Mia Yim signed to your promotion, and the best you can come up with is to hide her face and not know exactly what to do with her moving forward. I don't understand this.
I don't understand a lot of TV promotions and thought processes around their roster, but that's not that. This isn't the show for it. I could go on for an hour and a half just on that, and I won't. But I mean, it's good to see her back on the Indies and not in a mask. With you seeing her face and seeing her, and I mean, obviously, we know this wasn't her first show back. She had a show a couple of weeks ago that she did, but really, this to me was the match of hers. I was waiting for it to happen. I was waiting for the first company to book it and expect the unexpected. Wasted no time. They gave us this match just because I think what we're seeing in Janai's like rise. I felt like they could mesh well with one another.
Really?
Mia could, help raise up Janai a little bit more, and she did that. And God, did she do that very well?
Very well.
And at the same time, too, Janai could be this liable threat to defeat Mia. And honestly, I bit a few times in this match when there was a near fall for Janai. I just felt like the storytelling and the progression of this match was a pace that both of them could work very well. And on the edge of my seat during this match, during near the back half where the near falls were happening at a quicker pace and stuff like that. I just really feel like this was Janai's. Janai's had a few coming out parties like throughout the past, 6 to 9 months. This was another one of those where, she comes out again showing how good she really can be if given the opportunity.
This can be a benchmark for her. This can be one of these benchmark matches that she can carry around for a while, however long she stays on the independents, right? Where at some point in a year or so or whatever, or 18 months, she gets another match with Mia, right? And then we see how far she's come. Maybe she loses again, but then she has another one with me, and then you see it again. It's like, I was expecting them to really mesh well together because I feel like Janai's offense is just tailor-made for Mia Yim to take, to counter, to like it was exactly what I expected it to be, and I was not disappointed. I'm with you. I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, and I mean it was a nice little spot at the end. At the end of the match, Mia let Janai take the center stage and really put her over. I think, you could tell the emotion from Janai. This was a match that she really wanted and really, I think, exceeded her own expectations. Like, I feel as a fan of Janai, like, I expected this style match to come out of her against this level of opponent. I feel, depending on the level of the opponent, she raises to the occasion each and every time she's put out there. Like she's done that against Thunder Rosa. She's done that now against Mia Yim. Let's see what else she can do. And I really feel like, a year, 18 months from now, this is a different match where she takes what she learns and tries to apply it to try to beat Mia. Does she come up short? Maybe, but she's learned a lot in this short time that I think she could come out on top.
I agree.
Then we go into the main event here with Kerry Morton and Rock and Roll Express taking on the Maximo brothers, the full SAT. What are you going to get out of Kerry from Ricky and Robert Gibson at this age? I mean, I didn't expect the Canadian Destroyer that looked like it hurt Jose Maximo or Will Maximo, excuse me, a little bit more than it probably should have. And then that little suicide dive at the end. But honestly, like the right team won and the SAT if you're trying to pass the buck over from one older team to another generation. Um, this felt like a very early 2000 Ring of Honor main event type
Mm.
match in terms of you're showcasing the young up and coming team, or in this case, you're showcasing two veteran teams, one from different generations, and the one team giving the rub for the other. Um, nothing really to really call out here. It was I feel as if the SAT wanted to do more and realized just because of the limitations of really Robert, I feel Ricky could do a little
Ricky's
bit
still
more.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Robert that's rough.
Yeah. You could see that they wanted to do a little bit more, but also respected the veteran in Robert Gibson, so they didn't do as much as they wanted. They, I think, also went home a little bit early just to end it. But I mean, the post match here was really what caught my attention. The spot monkeys were out, and Jose Maximo was very pissed off with one of the spot monkeys. They get a door ready in the corner and they're going to put one of the spot monkeys through the door. But then a couple of the spot monkeys just go into it for themselves, taking out everyone else before taking their masks off, and its violence is forever. Um, really, instead of the SAT calling it a challenge, they're making the challenge for the next ETU show. They want the SAT in a tag match.
There you go.
It's honestly, I'm excited for this match. I think this is a match that both I think will be a little bit more evenly matched, and I think both can handle this type of match a little bit more than MSP.
Yeah,
But no,
I agree.
this is going to be another strong main event, another tag team match main eventing on ETU show. I think this is well worth the main event here.
There you go. And
So,
you also watched Wrestling Revolver's Swerve's House,
whose
which
house?
I was unable to catch though.
Whose house did I watch?
Swerve's House.
Yeah, there we go. So Iowa is a very big wrestling town if you really think about it, because they don't really have much of anything else going on. So they pack this civic center pretty every time they run there, they pack it to the brim, and this was no exception to that. This was a packed house here. The crowd was really into it. We started off Veda Scott on commentary again
Look at her.
because Moose defended the Impact World title against Mike Bailey. And I didn't Mike Bailey can not have a bad match with anyone, but Moose is Moose, and he really sucks the life out of everyone.
There you go. Perfect. That's the best analysis you can give about a moose match.
And as much as Bailey tried to energize the crowd and get it back into it, Moose was just as quick to suck the life out of it and really dictate to his pace. There was a couple of spots in the match. Bailey kicked the ring post pretty hard when he was trying to kick Moose, and that really slowed down and really gave the advantage to Moose as he was really trying to work his style and his speed and his pace. Um, in this match here, to me, didn't really get a second gear. Bailey tried, Moose failed.
Oh,
Yeah, it was one of those things where you just wanted it to end for Mike Bailey just because like Moose was just throwing around, manhandling him, taking advantage of the power, the strength that he has compared to Bailey. Um, he hit his spear and then retained the title here. Moose has Moose has never done it for me, even
no.
back when he was in Ring of Honor. He's never been one of a likable guy in terms of his persona. Even as a babyface, he just didn't come off likable. And he just works this slow pace that it's very hard to get him to work any other style. That if you try to work him really quickly, like Bailey was trying to work his speed, Moose will just like completely stop in his tracks and like reset the match back to how he wants it to be ran and stuff like
It's
that.
methodical.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
methodical.
it's Nick's Khan's worst nightmare sleep. That's what those methodical matches do to me. We go into our next match, and it's match three of the now trilogy between Billy Starks and Deonna Purrazzo. This time for the AAA Reina de Reinas title. Um, so I've only seen their second, and this is their third match. I've only seen the last two matches, and again, it's a broken record for how we talk about Billy. Like she shown improvement, and
Mhm.
she showed that she took what she learned from that match at Jersey Championship Wrestling against Deonna for the Ring of Honor Women's title, and really took what she learned from there and utilized it. But again, it still wasn't enough to overtake the champ here in Deonna Purrazzo, which I'm still waiting for Mercedes to show up, knock on the door, and take the title once and for all for um, Ring of Honor. But hey, I guess Tony Khan has a plan with that. But I mean, this was a very good match here. You can't go wrong with watching either of these women fight and wrestle.
No.
I feel Deonna has really surged and continued her upward trend even after losing the Impact Knockouts title. You wondered where she was going to go from there, and then she ended up winning the Ring of Honor Women's title and the Reina de Reinas title for AAA, and she's still one of the top women in Impact holding two different titles that aren't their own. And she's been very still strongly utilized, whether it be doing the champ challenge or just really showcasing her ability as a actual full complete package. She's gotten a lot better in her talking, and she's really become more of a complete performer. It's a shame, another talent that you wonder why WWE couldn't do anything with, because
Yeah.
this is somebody who was very sound in the ring, technically speaking. I mean, you can say that she wasn't a good talker, but you can work with her on that to become better. It
Well,
just
that yeah, that can yeah. I hate it when people are like, oh, they can't make it because they're no good on the stick. You're like, well, that can be cured, and you can also just like stick a manager to do the talking for them. Which is
yeah.
wild sometimes when I think that they have Stokely Hathaway there, and they barely know they barely know what to do with them. Um, yeah, Deanna's up to 249 days in her reign as Reina de Reinas champion. So
I think her next defense is Taya on Saturday for that title at Rebellion, or maybe at Triple Mania at the end of the week after, one of the
it
two. I know
could
she has
be.
a Taya defense, a match against Taya coming up for that title. But one of the things that stood out to me was Deanna pointing out that at the end of the match, she got the mic and said, exactly what I said. You take a little things from each match to improve upon. Even though I've beaten you all three times, you've improved each time, and you're becoming tougher to beat. To Billy, so she let Billy have the ring, and then in a pre-tape, July 9th, it's going to be Billy versus Ruby Soho at Revolver.
Which is pretty dope. Good
Yeah.
for Billy.
So Billy gets a dream match of hers as well. We then go into the battle of the Everyman, Dan the Dad versus Jake Man Scout Manning. This was really going to be a lighthearted, funny comedy match until Infrared came out and was like, oh, we're not going to deal with this shit, and beat up the both of them. Man Scout and Dan the Dad got angry enough that they wanted to turn this into a tag team match, which
Holla holla.
Infrared, yeah, Teddy Long came out and made it a tag team match. But the Infrared agreed with this, and it turned into a pretty decent tag match. Um, Dan the Dad is one of those guys that he's still very over with his stick, and it really works for him, and it really shows that him sticking with it and making those minor tweaks to making him a little bit over more, but he's really become everyone's favorite wrestling dad in a short amount of time. And Man Scout Manning, it's good to see him wrestle. I know he's now behind the scenes with AEW from last I have seen on like vlog videos, because everyone in AEW has a vlog. But this was a very good tag match. Infrared picks up the win here. which isn't a surprise. Their group with JT Dunn, the unit, is really being pushed as the focal point right now in Revolver. So them getting the win here and continuing their strength in numbers doesn't surprise me here. What did surprise me here is Prisoners of Society and American Wolves, mainly because I didn't know what to expect out of Prisoner Society, or as the commentary like to point out, POS during the entire time they were in the ring. They just harped on the acronym POS because I guess they wanted to also be known as pieces of shit. I don't know. But Macklin, I feel, has showcased himself as a credible star. I mean, I
Yes,
think he's one of Impact's brighter spots on the
I agree.
roster. Um, he's really showcased himself as, one of these guys that given the opportunity and he can run with it. Weston Blake, you haven't really seen much of him. I know he's done some Control Your Narrative shows, I think, but really, this was expected to be the first time and last time teaming up together again until they actually won the Revolver titles over um,
The
the
American Wolves.
American Wolves.
Mm,
So, which is interesting to see them lose the titles and then the Wolves, heal up on POS to, beat them down. Out comes Sammy Callahan, fully healed from his ankle injury, reminding him that him and his deranged friend John Moxley still have a date to be determined against the American Wolves. So that match between the Switchblade conspiracy and American Wolves is still planning to happen sooner than we think. And before the intermission, we had our plunder match here. It was a spiderweb death match, pretty much just a whole entire match with different contraptions with barbed wire on it. One called Manders and Jake Chris were just getting thrown into these contraptions. Manders was busted up open pretty early and pretty bad in this match. Um, I mean, Jake Chris is one of those guys that I feel got the shit end of the stick because his brother's a piece of shit, so no one
mm-hmm.
really wants to touch him either. But I mean, he's gotten reinvented himself on the indies to really become like this bright shining star on as a single star. The Man in Black style thing, the last real you know, deathmatch wrestler. He's really trying to reinvent himself and really, make people realize that he can do stuff on his own. He's a good talker. Um, it's just one of those things where, with all the companies, where does he fit in type of thing.
Sure.
I thought he was going to come back to Impact, but that doesn't seem to be the case. But he's really focused on himself becoming more of a single star. And besides, running the gauntlet in IWA Mid South as their champion for quite a long time, he's just been popping up in some other independents here and there and showcasing his skill and ability. And this was no exception of that. He really looked good in this match. Manders held his own. I think honestly, with Manders, he's finally understanding, his role and understanding his character a little bit more. I feel like a while when he was in GCW, he was lost in the shuffle and really behind some of his other SGC brethren.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he's, split away from them a little bit,
Yep.
and is really focused on rebuilding himself and rebuilding his career. And it's honestly been quite refreshing to see. And I'm excited for him because he's a really good guy in and out of the ring. We come back from the intermission and we have a double title match because the only way that Ace Austin was going to defend his remix title is if Trey Miguel put up his X Division title a week before their X Division title match at Rebellion. Trey agreed to it. And you also have Blake Christian and Lindsay Dorado, Lindsay is really playing into this pop character, Lucha Lit,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit too much, but he's getting out there and you're seeing him a little bit more. Blake is just, out there again, getting booked everywhere. It's good to see, like, again, Blake's looking like Blake again, and it really feels good. And he
It really
has a
does.
big match coming up this weekend against Will Ospreay at Warrior for the Warrior title. So maybe his mind was set a little bit and occupied on there, but there were some good spots in this match. All of these guys can fly and flip, and do a lot of crazy stuff in the ring together. So wasn't really much of a surprise to see Trey Miguel win here because I don't think Impact would have wanted him to lose the title before their big pay-per-view. But now he is not only the X Division champ in Impact, but he is the PWR Remix champ. And then we have our scramble match of a lot of big dudes. Uh, Crash Jackson, Big Beef, Calvin Tankman, Cal Jag, Madman Fulton, and Jessica Havoc. And I mean, this was an athletic for everyone being so big in this match. Everyone was pretty
Yeah.
athletic in here. We know what all these men and women can do. Tankman's just a freak of nature in what he's done. I think him being in MLW has only improved himself and his confidence and what he's done as a competitor since signing there. Um, it's good to see Fulton get some spots and independent really focus on just how crazy he can be. But I mean, at the end of the day, here this was a Crash Jackson win. But honestly, the match everyone was here about, and no, it wasn't Swerve versus Ruby Riott like originally mentioned. It was Swerve versus Athena, which I think over delivered. And honestly, I think this is the match that we all wanted to see instead. Um, both of them worked well together. A lot of near falls. Her finisher, the O face
What's
as she calls it now.
the O face?
Yeah, the O face. Yeah, I'm just yeah, that's what she calls it now.
Alrighty.
Nah, she looked really good delivering on Swerve. Swerve kicked out at two here. Swerve stomp two. There was a lot of near falls, a lot of back and forth here. But honestly, this really showcased just how good Athena is, and I think a lot of people are still sleeping on her because, to me, I feel she should be somebody that's been signed by now, anywhere, not just AEW, but like Impact. Maybe she could be one of the women part of the Ring of Honor side of things. But it's just one of those things where like Swerve got the best out of her, and she got the best out of Swerve. They gelled together and they meshed well. I was really excited about this match, and this I think really easily hands down the match in the night here.
Okay. I
Um,
think I really quickly,
mhm,
I think Athena is, I think I think she carries a reputation now, you know, not as being, a terrible person or whatever, but I think she, like she's up there in age, right? She's what,
mhm.
33, 34, something like that.
33, 34.
She has a litany of injuries that she has been carrying for a while. It's one of the reasons why she was stunted in WWE at the same time, and I think, combination of that, maybe some, some unspectacular matches since she's hit the indies again. Maybe, that sort of lingers, right? Then you go, well, maybe yes, but like I haven't watched the match yet. I'm gonna definitely go back on it, check it out. But I heard lots of great things out of Swerve versus Athena. I thought it was. I heard a lot of good stuff. So good. Like maybe that's also just all she needed. Something like to exercise the demons at the same time. That kind of stuff can weigh on you after a while. It's like, you know, um, but I think she's a victim of a very unjust reputation at the same
Yeah.
time. Um,
Um,
I don't
I
know why you
really,
sleep on her.
yeah, it's surprising how many people do, and I really feel like she came back and had this 30-minute classic with Rosa right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, the crowd in that match was very weird. I think,
Yes, yes,
and
it
kind of rude at the
was.
same time too.
Yeah.
Um, but they followed it up with adding Sky Blue to the mix, and I think Warrior added her into there. I'm interested in seeing because the show this weekend, Thunder Rosa is gonna give up the title due to her commitments as AEW Women's
Yep.
Champion. So I'm wondering, logically, I think the right step is to give it to Athena. We'll see what Warrior does. There's a lot of well-deserving women in that whole group that could get it, but I think honestly, it would be good for Athena to really just run with it and really showcase herself as a can't miss talent. And I think, like you mentioned, this match against Swerve was proof that that she can be one of those can't miss talent, and
Mm,
people flock to want to see her and want to see her perform well on the Indies. We go to our main event here for the Revolver title. This is between champion Rich Swann and JT Dunn. I mean, this was a very good match. I feel like JT Dunn is another one who's grown out of his reputation of being a piece of shit. I mean, if you think about it, he was never Chris Hero tried to, work with him to improve his behavior, and they, death by elbow tag team and beyond. And honestly, like Chris Hero gave up on him just because of his attitude type thing. Um, I think, a matter of age and everything, he's grown up a little bit, and you saw him get opportunities during the pandemic to perform on Elevation and Dark and stuff like that. Um, and I really feel like JT Dunn is still getting hampered by some of his past behavior, but I
mm,
mean, he's proven, I think, a little bit that like he can be trusted and he can be used to, be a big time player here. And honestly, Revolver agrees with that as he's now the new Revolver champion after help from his group, the Unit. Infrared came out and a lot of interference and back and forth. Two death by elbows later, he defeated Rich Swann and became new champion. The main story out of this one is also for their July 9th show. Swan, Swerve, and Matthew Palmer will be taking on the Unit, which is JT Dunn and Infrared, in a Cage of Horrors match, which pretty much is just a cage with a bunch of weapons attached to it. So we'll be having that match in on July 9th as well. So a lot of big stuff set up for the next Revolver show. They're actually going to be part of GCW's Full Tilt weekend in Vegas during Double or Nothing weekend. But yeah, I mean, Revolver is one of those promotions that honestly, for the longest time, I forgot about.
mm.
And then I randomly was like, oh, Alex Clone. I like Alex Clone a lot. So I saw he was wrestling there against Jake Chris, and I was like, oh, I'll check this show out. And the show, top to bottom, was really good. It had a little bit of everything. This show, a little long. It was about 4 hours and 5 minutes, including intermission. So I was like,
A little on
a
the
lot
long
of
side.
setup and yeah, so I watched it over like a couple of time frames and stuff like that. Um, but it had a lot to offer. I thought the spider web death match between Manders and Jake Chris was good, but obviously the my match of the entire weekend compared with the both shows that I watched was Swerve and Athena.
Mm.
I thought it was a very solid match, and it like we were just saying, I think it proves that Athena can be still
Very
somebody
good.
that can be trusted on the
Sure.
independents, and I hope she is.
I hope so too. All right. Let's go over our show recommendations for the weekend. Sean, very little quickly. I'm going to be at the C4 show this weekend. I'm going live on Friday, April 22nd, in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Time and Tide. We've got Kevin Blackwood and Jonathan Gresham, which is going to be a headlining match. Biff Busick and Kevin Koo, which is what I'm really excited about. Get Alexia Cole in a triple threat match against Ava Everett and Janai Kai. Excited to see Janai live for the first time. And the Kings of the District are taking on Mathieu Saint Jacques of the Tabarnak the Team and Lufisto. So that's going to be exciting. That's one show I'm looking forward to. What about you, Sean?
I am looking for on Saturday the 23rd. It's going to be on Fight GCW The Old Me, which is going to be headlined by the High Incident, or better known as the Scaffold match between SGC and the Briscoes. This is a feud that needs, I guess, this dangerous match.
And you
But
Brett is gonna do all sorts of throw. He's gonna insist on ECW throwbacks here. He's gonna insist
of course,
on some New Jack
bullshit
throwbacks
with
and
with Justice. Justice is going to
Jesus.
do it.
Ugh.
Um, we also got Minoru Suzuki versus Two Cold Scorpio, Janela and Bandito, John Wayne Murdoch facing Hoodfoot, Alex Colon and AJ Gray for Gray's Extreme title, Alex Shelley and Nick Wayne, a rematch for Without a Cause from last year. This should be a really good one. And then Bussy of Alley Catch and Effie take on ASF and Gringo Loco for their GCW tag titles. And I think a show we're both excited about is on Sunday.
Yep. Beyond Inertia, where, of course, it's going to be streamed on IWTV. We've got Biff Busick and Dirty Dango, which was set up at Monkey Business. Chris, almost a month ago already. Look at that stuff. Alec Price and Willow Nightingale, let's go. Slade versus Akira, let's go. Faith in Nothing versus Bear Country, which is cool. Atticus Kogar versus Smart Mark Sterling. Teddy Goods and Crowbar, which should be a lot of fun. Tracy Williams versus Lufisto. And a demolition match.
Yeah, I have no idea what is meant by that, but that's coming.
It's coming. And one last thing one last show also that's also happening on Saturday and in the afternoon for those of us here on in North America is Pro Wrestling Eve's Global Women's Strike 3. Got a bunch of matches there, but for just to mention a couple here, got Max the Impaler versus Session Moth Martina. So rip Martina. We've got Eve Champion Jetta taking on Casey. We've got Charlie Morgan taking on Emi Sakura. So that's going to be dope as hell. But the match I'm most looking forward to, Sean, Alex Windsor. And if you're not familiar with Alex Windsor, people, she's absolutely fantastic. Alex Windsor versus Shoko Nakajima on Excursion. Oh, hell yeah. And that's happening this Saturday, 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern. So you can catch that early afternoon over on the Pro Wrestling Eve YouTube channel. You got to be a member. It's members only, but it's worth it. There you go. As far as that goes, Sean, we're going to wrap this one up.
Sounds good.
What do you got coming up this week?
This week, it's just I actually took a week off from Pure, but coming back with some Bryan Danielson stuff next week. Really, that's about it. Follow me on Twitter at Sean Taggart 531, where you can find out about Pure, articles I write for the Countout Podcast Network, and just really me rambling on random indie nonsense.
As for me, well, you can follow me on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes right here. You can subscribe and make sure that you never miss an episode of Hot Shakes and Hand Dogs or of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, which records live every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Look, there's always great stuff to talk about. And yeah, we got some New Japan stuff to talk about this week. We're probably going to have a couple more. There was a certain departure from NXT as well this week. Look, there's lots of stuff to talk about. Of course, AEW and all that usual stuff that I go over. So come on and join me. Subscribe here, 9 p.m. Eastern this Saturday. And I'm excited to go see some more live wrestling this week. I really am. I'm excited to head back to Ottawa, see the C4 show. I'm stoked about that. Don't know why my voice decided to give out as I was saying that. It's not as if I was, really projecting or anything. I don't know.
Really excited to see the C4 show.
I'm really excited for the C4 show.
Everybody, hey.
It's the long-term storytelling, the stroke.
Oh, finally.
Still coming. It's still coming. The signs are all there. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today on another edition of Hot Shakes and Hand Dogs. That's not the right music. This is the right music. Thank you all, everyone. Thanks again, Sean.
Bye.
Enjoy your week. We'll see you next time.